Tried to praise Paige Bueckers without mentioning Caitlin Clark. Level seemingly impossible for the media. It's mad. It is actually mad. Because Paige Bueckers has just played the best game of her college career. Well, her best game since she was a freshman. And I have to say, it was great to see Paige just say, screw overthinking. And if you heard the way she spoke, she was like, I just felt like I was in a zone. Just felt like I was in a zone and I was just playing off instinct. The whole second half. That is when Paige is at her best. When Paige is playing with freedom, when Paige is playing with flair. As the Paige Bueckers that was so hyped in high school. That was the Paige Bueckers that was player of the year as a freshman. The Paige Bueckers that we have right now, that we had for a lot of this season, was a passive Paige Bueckers. And it was so good to see Paige Bueckers just decide, or Paige decide, I'm not going to focus on an efficient shot. And it really started off with her kind of pulling from like 25 feet off a catch early in the offense. And it went in. I'm like, yeah, I like that. Missed a couple of drives. She made a couple of tough drives that had a 25% chance of going in, but it keeps the defense honest. You had Gina Auriemma basically coming out there saying, well, the defense, Paige gets the ball and the defense aren't even guarding her because they know she's not going to shoot it. And then Paige just takes over a game like only she can in college basketball. She's the best player in college basketball. The only thing that will stop Paige reaching the tippity top of the sport is Paige. She has that much ability. And it is great. It is fantastic to see what Paige Bueckers did yesterday. But, if you are dumb enough to start using this as some sort of weird comparison with Caitlin Clark, first of all, she's doing this in her fifth year in college. She's already older than Caitlin Clark by like 4 months. She is a 23-year-old doing it against 18-year-olds. And, again, maybe Oklahoma were a little bit older. But there are 18-year-olds, like her second best player is a 19-year-old. And not only that, if you want to say, oh, she had 40 points, yeah, Caitlin's done it like 3 times. And by the way, in 2 of those 3 games, Caitlin also had double-digit assists. By the way, all in wins, all in Elite 8 or Final 4 games, when Paige's was in a Sweet 16 game. And all of Caitlin's were in Elite 8 or Final 4s, and hers were against Louisville, who I would put at probably a similar standard to that Oklahoma team that Paige faced. An undefeated South Carolina team, who went undefeated the following year with Aaliyah Boston, and an LSU team who were just coming off a national championship and added Michaela Williams, Hailey Van Lith, and Denise Amaro. So yeah, obviously if you want to go band for band, Caitlin Clark wins in every scenario. Caitlin Clark's like 80 points ahead of Paige Bueckers in terms of total points in the tournament. And people are like, oh, she did it in less years than Caitlin. It's like, she's played 2 more games than Caitlin. Either way, if she breaks Caitlin's record, unbelievable. It would cause her, it means she has to average 30 points a game the rest of the way. And if Paige Bueckers does that, yeah, Paige Bueckers is cemented as one of the all-time great college basketball players. Because she's a hell of a player. But if you guys start to move the goalposts and then talk about it in a way that it's, oh, you know, we're only going to compare Caitlin to Paige, Paige is going to lose. Paige's unbelievable in her own right. Because look at this article. Paige Bueckers is poised to be the next face of women's basketball. If anyone mentioned Caitlin Clark as a face of women's basketball, which she is, you get killed by the old guard. But it's fine, you know? Let's go. Paige Bueckers is poised to be the next face of women's basketball. And then this is my favorite part of this. In fairness, nothing written was too bad. Before Caitlin, it was Paige. Well, yeah, Paige got injured, came back as this new passive player post-injury, albeit unbelievably good player, but a new, more passive, hyper-efficient player post-injury who lost a lot of her flair. And oh, by the way, Caitlin Clark just had the greatest 2-year stretch of any college player in the history of college basketball in her junior and senior seasons. Her junior year was really good. She had the best individual tournament anyone has ever had as an individual player in her junior season. Then her senior season was the best total season anyone has ever had in college basketball on the women's side. So yeah, obviously things change. Then she goes to the WNBA and she's one of the 5 best players in the WNBA off rip. So 2-time College Player of the Year, Iowa, Associated Press. She was Caitlin before Caitlin. Well, you know who also was KD before KD? Michael freaking Beasley. KD and Michael Beasley were rivals in high school. Michael Beasley was better. You know who was as good as LeBron James in high school? Lenny Cook. You guys probably don't know who Lenny Cook is. DeJuan Wagner. DeJuan Wagner was LeBron before LeBron, I guess. You know who was meant to be the next Michael Jordan? Harold Miner. You probably don't know who Harold Miner is. And do you want to know who else is meant to be the next Michael Jordan? Deshaun Stevenson. The man is best known for getting into a beef with LeBron James and Jay-Z writing a diss track on him. He was meant to be the next Michael Jordan. This Caitlyn, before Caitlyn, it was Paige. Paige is great. She was the most popular player at that time. Yeah, okay. Sabrina was the most popular player before Paige. The most popular player before that was, like, there legitimately was probably a time where Katie Lou Samuelson was the most popular college player. We can be honest here. What difference does that make? And the meteor of Caitlin Clark happened. What difference does this make? And I mean this. What difference does this make at all? Because Paige Bueckers is unbelievable by herself. And one thing I do like in this is that people are saying Paige Bueckers is a winner. Yes, thank you. Let's keep that going. Because Paige Bueckers, whether or not Paige Bueckers wins or not, I can nearly guarantee you Paige Bueckers is going to be a winner when it's all said and done. Because winning at the college level, as much as a lot of people trade rings at the next level for a college ring, it's a lot harder to win at a college level. You've only got 4 years. And you've got, if you're Caitlyn, if you're Paige, you had 5 years, but like this year, like AZ hasn't been that healthy. The team's maybe not as good as it has been other years. On paper, it should be. And like this would take a masterclass from her. But obviously, look, she's going to be in the wings, talking about her playing with Arike Gambawale and talking about the leverage she has, and Rebecca Lobo basically saying, go and Nancy Lieberman said she's going to do what's best for her, and what's best for her is to play in the WNBA, and the way he's going to take her. Rebecca Lobo is like, if you're Dallas, draft Paige. Even if she doesn't want to play, you still have the rights to Paige Bueckers. And it's one of those things. Everybody's like, this whole article is just comparing her net worth and her impact to Caitlin Clark. And I'm sorry, like, it's not something she's going to win. This is not a debate she's going to win. And it's a funny one because Paige is exceptionally good. Paige is exceptionally good, but her impact on the sport of women's basketball is not in the same stratosphere. Yes, Paige Bueckers was the most hyped high school player of all time. If we were in the social media era 20 years earlier, or not 20 years earlier, how many years earlier was it? 12 years earlier, Candace Parker would have been, like, there's a lot of players, like Candace Parker was 12 years earlier, she would have been this hyped. Paige Bueckers was unbelievable in high school. Paige Bueckers was ridiculous as a freshman in college. Then she picked up a minor, not quite minor, but not ACL tear, serious injury in her sophomore year. And then right before her junior year, she tore her ACL. She came back, and considering she came back from her ACL tear, she was exceptional, but she hasn't been the same player mentality-wise since she tore her ACL, and that's fine. Like, that happens. The amount of times people are like, oh, but, you know, she tore her ACL, that means more. It's like, yeah, well, she's a year older. I'm sorry, she is a super senior. She is genuinely a super senior in college. And it's great that she had a 40-point game. It's her first 40-point game in college. And it's like, oh, you know, back-to-back 30-point games are hard, are harder to do at UConn. She shot like 30 times. Like, I'm sorry, putting on a UConn jersey does not make it harder to hit shots. It makes you more open. But no, like, look, Paige is really good in her own right, and we can revisit this conversation in 3 or 4 years' time. But there is no way in hell that it is fair on Paige Bueckers to put this pressure on her. Because look, if Paige Bueckers doesn't win Rookie of the Year, something's seriously wrong. And like, you're looking at somebody that might not be one of the top 2 best players on her own team. Like, Dejanay Carrington at this point in time is better than Paige Bueckers. By the end of her rookie year, I would hope Paige Bueckers is better, but Dejanay Carrington is better right now. Paige Bueckers is not going to be blitzed for 40 minutes coming into the WNBA season. In fact, I reckon the scout report is going to be, maybe let's not help off Paige, but the scout report is going to be about Arike if you're talking about the Dallas Wings. And that's fine. Paige is going to be really good. I reckon Paige might make the All-Star team based on the voting. I think she can be there or thereabouts making the All-Star team as a rookie. I think Paige is going to be exceptionally good. Exceptionally good. But all it is, she was Caitlyn before Caitlyn. I'm sorry, Beasley was better than KD in high school. Like, David Thompson was Jordan before Jordan, but he wasn't fucking Jordan, was he? And we can always talk about this type of stuff, but it's the dumbest thing ever, and it's not fair on Paige. It is not fair on Paige that as soon as she has the best game of her college career, and she's instantly compared to arguably the greatest college player of all time. It is absolutely not fair to Paige Bueckers, who's a hell of a player in her own right, had a hell of a game, and is going to be the number 1 pick in this draft, and going to Dallas. An extremely good player. But what are we doing? What are we doing? It is absolutely ridiculous, but what are we doing? Anyway, I'll see you guys.